going to learn how to do a whirlwind pattern. And what I mean by a whirlwind is as you can see, the whirlwind, and I'm showing you big samples. Here's a big one. Here's a medium. It's a little bit smaller. They all have mirrors. Bead mat, scissors, and needles. And for this we're using 10s, beeswax, thread, and the thread is dependent on your size beads that we're using. We are using 11s, some glue to tack it down, and then your backing and your pieces, and then your beads. And we are using 4 colors, and you need a pencil to mark. So the first step, we used a beading container lid. I believe that's about a 2-inch circle in diameter. So then you take your pencil and you would just go around the circle, which would give you that. Well, after you do your circles, the next step is you're going to look at your pieces. Here we're using these. You don't have to use it. You can do a rosette style where you just go all the way around. In this instance, we're using a piece in the middle. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna cut the thing in half. So the next step is you're going to put your little circle, your little mark in the middle, and you're going to create 8 halves like a pizza. This is if you have 4 colors. So if you're having more colors, you're going to have to split it in half to however many colors that you have. I would recommend going with an even number. The next step, you're going to thread your needle, and then you're going to put some glue. Just a little tiny bit. And then you're going to start tacking it down. Slow down. So she's coming up right next to the hole. There's a little tiny hole in there. You can barely see it. Before you go all the way through. She's coming back through right next to the bead that we're using.
Try that twice.
Yeah, so flip it over so you can see the back. So when you look at your back, it should look like that. There's the tail, and there's where the needle's coming out. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna take it and you're gonna come back over here. go through one more time. So now if you look at the back, you have your line there. And what she's going to do now is she's going to create a knot and knot it off. Now to secure it, we usually secure it with 2 knots. Next step is, you got your beads there, you picked out your beads. We have our 4 colors. We're using white, green, yellow, and pink. And the reason why we're doing that is because we have the pink, the white, and the green, and we think the yellow will be a pretty contrast. So you're gonna start on one of your lines. And you're going to pick up your first color. We do 3 at a time to tack down. And we're using flat stitch. So if you're not familiar with flat stitch, you pick up your beads and then you go down. You go down next to your beads and you come out the other side. And then you're gonna come up in between right next to your bead. So here we have, it's coming right next to it. She's gonna end up going through those 2 beads. Go slow. Move that thread out of the way. So now you can see that she came up where she came up from, and now she's going through those last 2 beads. And then she pulls it tight, and if you look, it's on there. It's on there pretty tight. So that's how you do flat stitch. And the purpose is, you don't necessarily have to have the same amount of beads within that circle, within your lines. You just have to have that color beads to do the pattern. So if you have, for example, 5 pink beads and 3 green beads and 4 yellow beads, as long as you have it within the lines, the amount of beads are not going to matter. So here she has 5 beads, and now she's going to pick up her next color. The next step is you're going to come up on, so we finished the pattern. We started with the pink, did the yellow, and the green, then the white, then you did it again. So we have 2 sets here. Now the next row, you're going to come up on your line where you just finished, in the middle there. in this little section, you're gonna do half the white because you're starting to shift. So half of this will be white and then the next half will be pink, and you'll go to right about there. Okay, you can start to see the pattern. You can see that this is halfway, oops, sorry. This is halfway on the line of the row before is what I'm talking about. So she went halfway, and you can tell by in the middle there, and now when she goes here, it's gonna be yellow. She's gonna start going, and then to right about there, she's gonna start with her green. So you can start to see that it's shifting. Now I'm sure there's many ways to do this. This is just the way that I learned how to do it. Okay, so now we're on the third row. So if you look, you can start to see that her pattern is taking. As you can see, there's half the white. So the colors are starting to shift over. So on the next one, on the third row, you're gonna start at your point again. And this whole piece, this section here, will be white, and then pink, and then yellow, and then green, and then it'll just start around again. So you're either gonna do half or a full row, and that's what makes it simple. What's the other thing you asked me?
How many rows?
Okay, so a good question that Tiffany had was, when will you really start seeing the whirlwind pattern? You'll really start to see it after 3, but the further you go along, the more whirlwindy it'll be. And what I mean by that is, on here you have 4 rows. You can start to see it after the 3rd one. You'll start to see the pattern going, but you'll really see it after 4, and the further more you go along, you'll have more of a definition. You'll see it more. Okay, so now if you look in this one section where her lines are, it's all white, and you can see where that line is. She's starting to do the pink, and in that one whole section, that'll be pink. Okay, for the final step, so she went around and did 4 rows. She's on her final row because she's only going to do 4. She's going to take her last and tack it down. Now to make it look clean, she's gonna come up and go through and then go where she started on that first bead. And then now that you see that she's coming out where that first bead, that's the first bead where she started. She's gonna go back down and then knot off the back. So that's what the back looks like. And you can see where she's changed out her stitches. She's gonna cut it, and then it'll look like the other piece where she's got her 4 pieces. And then we're gonna follow the steps of edging. She's gonna do post back for this instead of the other style.